Hello, Fresh Faces, and welcome to another Fresh Face Skin episode with me, Amelia Goff, your host, talking all things skin, health, and how to look after your body holistically, speaking with some of the top experts in Australia, sharing all we know to support you on your journey. And today's episode, I'm very excited about because it's someone that is extremely light-minded and a true reflection of everything I put into Fresh Face Skin. This episode is actually all about light and the incredible power that it holds for the skin. Today, I'm joined with the beautiful Leonie, the founder and owner of Aduro LED Australia, a fellow passionate business owner who, like I said, really shares such a deep love for helping others and goes into building her business every day in a way that I can really see and relate to. So I'm excited to see where this episode takes us on so much more than just LED and talking about beauty and skin and health, but also connection and business. And Leonie has dedicated her career to advancing professional grade LED therapy. So I personally use Leonie's Aduro Australia LED machines at Fresh Face Skin. We actually have 5 of those Aduro professional LED machines in our salon, and we also stock her at-home use silicone LED masks, which I also personally use as a face, neck, and décolletage mask that I use about 2 to 3 times a week in my own time. So she owns Aduro Australia LED machines, and I'm a very big believer in passing on what I too love. And this brand I have trusted and been aligned with for probably, Leonie, you'd know, maybe 6 years now, would you
Yeah,
say?
I would say 6 going on 7 years.
Yeah, 6, 7 years now. And I really just wanted to bring her education, her knowledge, her background to the Fresh Face Skin podcast because I only share, products and other founders that I truly believe in and that I know will assist you on your own individual journey. So today we're going to dive into Leonie's personal journey, how she brought Aduro Australia to life, and why she believes LED is one of the most powerful tools for long-term skin health. Whether you're LED obsessed or just LED curious, this conversation will leave you informed and inspired. Welcome to the Fresh Face Skin podcast, Leonie.
Oh, Amelia, thank you so much. What an introduction. I don't know how we're going to follow on from this, but thank you so much. I am absolutely privileged to be here on your podcast, and thank you so much for making this happen. Well, let's make it something really incredible.
Let's make it
Um,
incredible. And thank you
yeah,
for your
yeah, yeah.
time, Leonie, because you're such a busy woman. You've put aside this time for me and for the Fresh Face Skin community today. So thank you so much. So let's dive in, beautiful woman. So I wanted to first of all touch base a little bit on your story and your business journey so far so everyone can get to know you a little bit deeper. Can you take us back to the beginning and what inspired you to start your LED business at Aduro Australia?
Yeah, amazing, Amelia. So listen, I'll take you all the way back to 2016 when I started my full light journey. I'd probably even take you back to around 2013 when it really started. I always feel in business, things arise and develop from a need that you have for yourself. And for me, I started my own health journey in about 2013. Where I really started to look into functional medicine. Now, back in 2013, functional medicine wasn't necessarily an endorsed thing so much in Australia that I personally find. It was something that I really had to go out there and look for. And it kind of took me into the Americas, following the likes of the Dr. Perlmutters and Isabel Wentz and, all these amazing podcasters now that we listen to and we love and we swear by, but they were really only in the start of their own journey because it was really like the first starts of the podcast. So for me, it was a personal journey where, I really was looking for, things that could help me personally on my health journey and also help me with the concerns that I had, not only with my skin, but from a full body root cause, holistic way of being. And that's the way that Aduro has always been. It's always been focused on root cause. It's never been about let's pacify, the problems that we have with our skin or with our bodies through a magic pill.
Mm.
that may cause other issues. It's always about, let's get to the root cause of it. And the first thing that I found in my journey through functional medicine was, inflammation is the root cause of at least 50% of what's going on with all of us. And if we can,
Mm-hmm.
work out, what's causing that inflammation in our body, then we're better equipped to start with, to kind of start healing from the root down. And so that was really my journey into functional medicine. And along those lines, of delving into that, that's where I came across light therapy. Now, light therapy wasn't something that was new. There's been Nobel Prizes won on light therapy, going back into the history of LED light therapy, in the 50s and 60s, there were nurses that would and midwives that would help deliver babies born with jaundice. And when these babies were born, they had a lot of bilirubin in the body, which would make them yellow. The liver couldn't clear it fast enough. So, some very wonderful nurses would take these babies outside into natural sunlight. And what they found was, being exposed to natural light without going too much into it helped the body clear the jaundice, which now moves us into, being 1982 when I was born, showing my age now. Like, I was a premature baby and was in an incubator, and now they send the babies home in beautiful blue and UV light blankets. So
Mm-hmm.
LED is one of these things that's been used, medically for many, many years. And I feel as time has progressed, as technology has progressed, it's given us the capabilities to make incredible products that can be used not only on the body and for wellness, but moved more into the skin space.
Mm.
So really my journey started again from a need for myself to look for to get to the root cause of functional medicine and things that can help me. And although it wasn't, like I said, new, it was something that hadn't really been explored to the depth of it being accessible and available to everybody. You could only really get LED light therapy if you were in, a plastic surgery clinic where, you'd spend $30,000 on a machine, because that was
Mm-hmm.
all that was available at the time.
Mm-hmm. Which
So there's
made it,
been,
I guess, not available for everyone that needed it or was
correct.
curious about it. Yeah.
Correct, exactly. And I definitely have seen over my journey, over this kind of last 13 to 15 years, like I said, because everything starts off as a personal journey,
Mm.
just the evolution of LED light therapy, and just seeing so many people benefit from the effects of LED on so many different levels.
Mm-hmm.
It's just incredible, and it just fills my bucket,
Mm-hmm.
to know that I've so humbly and very privileged to have been part of that journey and educating, especially through Australia, what LED can do and how it can help people. And I do feel that, having been fortunate enough to have trained and worked, around the world, in Dubai and in America, and training on Aduro and things like this, to actually see that in Australia, we are still at the forefront of LED as a nation. We are educated, and we have the most amazing skin therapists like yourself, Amelia, and you dedicate, your time to training your team and making sure that they are, as educated as possible, and they're the highest in the level that they need to deliver for the clients to get the best results. Because, in places like the States, I still feel that there's a bit of a gap there. Like I
Mm.
feel that it's people are familiar and the brand loyal, but they don't necessarily fully understand the secondary colors in the same way that they're familiar with the primary. And I think in Australia, we're just so forward thinking, and we don't call ourselves biohackers yet. That's more of an American term, but
Mm.
we are more functional medicine warriors, and
Mm.
we don't just take, that, this is wrong, just take a pill, or
We
that's
questioned it a
wrong,
little bit more.
that's just how it's going to be. We really do delve deeper into it. And
Mm.
especially in our field for our clients, like, we really do take the time, through consultations,
Mm.
to make sure that we understand exactly what the client's skin concerns are, so we can target them with the technologies and the modalities and the amazing skincare and ingredients that we both bring to the table, which I think
Mm.
really, really is the secret to Australia being a forefront in not only skincare, but in light therapy also.
I love that you've now witnessed other countries, Leonie, because
Yeah.
not all of us have that ability to go overseas for our business and sort of see our profession in the light of another culture. And I guess you've been able to come back and realize, wow, Australia is a bit of a standout here, which is so nice to hear in
Yeah.
way of, beauty and skin and our knowledge and what we pass on to clients and how we support our clients. And I love hearing, I didn't know that you came from that more holistic background. It's probably why we
Yeah.
connect.
Yeah.
Um, so you've built Aduro on a need to assist the skin and the body in a more holistic way.
Yes.
And similar, Fresh Face Skin was built on that too, to step away from the harsh synthetic actives and to root down more and ground more in nature and work more with, our plants and our fruits, but also more on that barrier support for longevity.
Yeah.
And exactly like what you said, I'm a big believer in getting to the root cause of
Yeah.
the issue to then see long-term skin change and health change as a result. Because exactly like what you said, inflammation, it's the same for skin.
Yeah.
Inflammation is
Yeah.
probably the number one cause of most skin conditions. If internally we're not in an inflamed state, externally we have that balance that comes through. So
Yeah.
I love that you've brought Aduro in. Your passion for LED and Aduro and starting Aduro came from eliminating deep-rooted inflammation and supporting the body in a more holistic way, which
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
it's like music to my ears. So share with us, I mean, everyone who's listening to Leonie talk right now, I'm sure you can just hear the passion pouring out of Leonie's mouth. And this is one of the reasons why I love Aduro so much, because it's not only Australian made and owned, which is something I'm really passionate about, but it has a founder that truly believes in her why. And one of her biggest whys is supporting and helping people. And I think that personally, that's how every founder, especially in the aesthetics health industry, should start a business. It should come from a need to support and help others, because you can feel that and you can feel it when Leonie's talking. So you can see why these products are probably so amazing and follow through with what they say they're going to do. They're so highly made because the founder is mimicking that passion that's being poured into the development of the range and her product range. So, Leonie, share with us some of the biggest challenges that you faced within the early days of sort of starting Aduro. So, obviously, this is how it all came to be.
Yeah.
Tell me about the challenges that you faced when you decided, okay, I'm going to do something about this and create an LED range that's affordable, that's high quality, that's accessible in Australia.
Beautiful. Great question. And I always try and think to myself, when you're looking at, challenges, there's always an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the biggest opportunity with Aduro was that the market in terms of education, there was a really big gap. People didn't really understand LED light therapy. It was quite an exclusive club, unless you were going to a plastic surgeon, for example. For the everyday Joe Blow girls like us, like it just wasn't really available. So I think one of the biggest challenges I found was, you know, the opportunity was the ability to educate everybody, especially, people like real people, like day-to-day people like us. So I never found it a challenge for the user. The user was open and their minds were open and they wanted to learn more. And that was what really pushed me. The biggest challenge I found, though, was from our industry specifically, and it was more uneducating what had been educated in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the biggest challenge for me. And I suppose with any business, we've got barriers to entry. And I think, again, without throwing business terms around, the biggest barrier to entry, are probably, the way things have been done in the past, and then, you know, seeing, I suppose, a brand come into the market that shakes things up to make things more affordable and more accessible. So the biggest challenge was probably coming into the market and kind of re-educating what had been taught previously. You know, especially with our therapists that have been doing, you know, or been familiar with LED for 10 years, they'd been taught a certain way of doing things. And I think we have to remember when LED first come out, the majority of clients that had the treatments were more aged skin. The focus when I first come into the market was on more anti-aging. And we have to remember generally with anti-aging, the skin, and you would know this, Amelia, also, you can definitely attest to this, is when we're targeting, you know, more aged skin, we tend to use more oils and emulsions on the skin. You know, again, for nurturing the barrier, for the more drier skins, to help with reducing fine lines and the like. And so with LED, the teachings before that had been, you know, we shouldn't be using any product on the skin with LED because, you know, you don't get the full effects. And, you know, I guess the gap in the education there was because we were, you know, the therapists were using LED to target aged skins, and you absolutely would never use oil-based or emulsion-based products with LED because it reflects light away from the skin. So I kind of went to work and I was like, well, how can I make a product that supports LED that kind of, you know, counteracts what the teachings are in the market already. So we designed and spent 12 months making our collagen mask, which, you know, we know and
Don't
love.
even get me started on them. Well, we will get started on them, but just give us a moment because I love them. Yeah.
So I spent, me and my team, we spent 12 months formulating these collagen masks. We tried new products and we tried materials, and then we came to, you know, the beautiful, you know, skin fusion collagen masks that we know and love now that are marine collagen, which is for us the best collagen you can use on the skin. We focused on water-based products. So we made sure the mask was fully transparent so the light could pass through. We made sure that they were water-based, you know, so there was no negative interaction with the light. There was no reflection away from the light. So we could fully topically get that full product absorption into the skin while light was penetrating through. And because LED facials are a 20-minute treatment, it needed to last 20 minutes, which is why we did the marine collagen, because it could maintain its composition for that full 20-minute while delivering the
dare I
plumpness and the
say longer,
hydration.
Leonie?
Yeah, longer. Yeah, 100%.
Because
Maybe even like 2 days.
I mean, I could leave those under eye masks on. Anyone that follows me knows how much I love these masks. We
Yes.
use them professionally in salon under the LED because it's such a beautiful add-on. So well done for taking
Thank
the
you.
time to make something that's so, it was needed, but it works so well with your machines and any LED really, because you've obviously put the time and thought into developing it. But I would say sometimes I leave those under eye masks on for like 3 hours and
Yeah.
they've only just absorbed and dried out. But
Yeah,
I love it because
100%.
then I take them off and my eyes are just so plump. They are glowing. Any, you know, dehydrated fine lines have disappeared. So yeah, well and truly past the 20-minute mark in a good way that they last on the skin. Yeah. So would you
Amazing.
say you were the first to sort of bring that in at that
Yes,
time, that
we
no
were
one
the
was really
first.
using anything under LED?
Yeah, so we were the
Mm.
first to actually, you know, in my knowledge, to actually launch a product for use with LED that was highly effective. It kind of, again, it went against the old traditions of LED, which was focused on more aged skin. And we made a product that could be used for all aged skins, acneic skin. It wouldn't cause congestion. You know, we use that antioxidant, which is licorice root, to help with hyperpigmentation and calming. So great for, you know, clients that have got mild rosacea and eczema and psoriasis and dry skin. So for me, the collagen masks, they are the perfect base for any LED facial. But then I always say, like we've discussed about this, you can put, you know, your fresh face serums on the skin first before the collagen mask, and then you make this beautiful cocktail of incredibleness for use with the LED. And that's what I really, really love. And that's what I've always you know, I suppose focused on with the collagen masks. They are your absolute brilliant base, but then use your amazing cosmeceutical serums, like if a client needs a niacinamide or hyaluronic acid, or, you know, whatever else it is that you want to kind of supercharge it with, we give you that tool. And because they're always fresh, you know that once it's on the skin, then actives are going to work, you know, alongside, you know, your serums too. So for me, I think we kind of jumped over those barriers to entry. We hurdled over all of those things because we wanted to help people. And rather than worrying about the barriers to entry, we focused on what can we do to make things better and to change the education, then come to the market and educate people. So I really feel blessed to have had that opportunity to be able to do that, to set a standard now, to, you know, to actually have other people follow what we do. So for us, that's the biggest compliment, to see people, I suppose, try replicate what we do in terms of, you know, cosmeceuticals for use with LED, as well as, you know, the LED and the technology that we use. So for us, it's a privilege because it shows that we, you know, the energy and the time and everything and our passion that we put
Changing.
into it, you
Yeah.
know, was worth it.
Being
And people
received.
actually follow this methodology now that we re-educated 10 years ago against those challenges.
And I love that you cut through those barriers through education. And again, education, when you want to pass on education, it comes from a level of care and passion. You know, you've put the time and energy into dedicating yourself as a specialist into LED. So, of course, you're going to educate people. That's part of it. You probably didn't even find that hard because listen to Leonie. It's pouring out of her because she loves it. I love that you just faced that the way you did. And I always say education's power. So
Yeah.
the more that you have and the more that you can pass on and that people can really listen to and absorb, the more you have power and I guess that level of confidence in what you're doing. So now, obviously, it's been, would you say 12, 13 years since Aduro launched?
Yeah, so I think its inception was probably around 2015, but I spent 12 months
Mm,
sitting and developing our products, even with the
mhm,
LED, before launching it, because I think the biggest thing when you're building a brand and you want to create something, you know, that's going to last the test of time, that, you know,
mm,
you want to be, you know, a trusted brand that people rely on, you have to know your product and you have to test it on yourself. And it's no different to saying, you know, when you're on an airplane, if the oxygen mask come down, you must first put yours on and then you're in a position to help other people. And
mhm,
so for me, I really dedicated 12 months of my life to LED to make sure that, you know, I was across the clinical studies to make sure that, you know, I was working with my incredible engineers that were European, to make sure that the products that we had and the quality that we were bringing and that our protocols and our training and everything that we, you know, had was good to go before we actually launched. So for
mhm.
me, I'm very thorough in what I do and I'm very
Yeah.
professional, especially coming from a, you know, a business background. I really find that I was fortunate to have that because I was able to take something I was passionate about, you know, have the device there, have the amazing engineers, have the business background there, so I could bring something to market that was going to be helpful to people, that
Mm,
actually worked, that was backed by science, had all the TGA listings and everything that we needed, all of this stuff first, ticking all the boxes, but
mm,
then could actually bring something to a market to, you know, create trust
mhm.
and
Longevity.
longevity, and make
Mm,
sure that, you know, my team such as yourself know that you are my business and you're
mm,
always my main priority, because I think that's one thing that we've always focused on, is our teams are our business. And I think
mhm,
when you're in business and you run a business, if you don't realize, you know, that your teams are, you know,
mhm.
part of your everyday. Like for me, we might not be in the same physical location, but you
You
know, we
couldn't
wouldn't
do
be having
without
this
them.
conversation, you know,
Mm,
if we hadn't met and we hadn't, you know, found that common ground and the passion and a love for helping people. And, you
mm,
know, you felt confident knowing that, you know, you were getting an amazing device, but you had my support. I was always going to be there for you, and I would train you and your team, and I would do my best to bring in the best new products that, you know, when they become available, and that weren't necessarily following trends, but we're defining our industry. And that's one thing I always say about Aduro. We've always tried to define new trends. Like we create them, like we don't follow what's coming. And
they
that's,
might get copied,
they might,
but you create them. And
correct.
also because you've put the time, the energy, the care into the development side, usually what happens in that case, when you're staying in your own lane and you're developing these amazing products, people will copy. It's part of just human nature,
Yes.
but you'll be the one that holds on to that longevity because
Yeah.
you've put the time and effort into the building phase,
Yeah.
not just the hustle, the quick, turnaround to get on the trend. You've developed it. So and we were talking about this earlier, Leonie and I, like there's always going to be the copycats, and that's fine. You stay in your own lane, you keep doing what you love, what you're passionate about, and keep caring the way you do, and it will always pay off no matter
Yeah.
what, because that's felt and it's seen, and you can't
100%.
fake it, can you?
100%.
So
And I
where do
think,
you stand today, Leonie, like in regards to the development over, let's say, the last 12 years? Did you start with just the key professional LED machines? And then I'm guessing just from our conversation, you then developed the Skin Fusion collagen mask to go under them. And now you've got at-home LEDs, you've got other
yeah,
products. Like, talk to me
yeah,
about where you're
yeah,
at right now
yeah,
with the
yeah.
growth.
Amazing. So listen, when we first started, our focus was always and will always be on professional skincare because we are a professional skincare company and that's what we stand for. So when we launched
Mm.
our Aduro professional system, that was our first product because that was where our passion, it would lie. That's where we wanted to, I suppose, build, a legacy here in Australia, with a product that was the highest quality that you can possibly get, but to not market people out. And I think with the LED, we knew that we needed to use something with it. There needed to be something with it. So that's where the formulation came with the collagen mask. So we formulated those. And then, once our LEDs, we were starting to, build our tribe, and we had amazing team members on board that would, at the forefront, or I like to sometimes say, like in a beautiful way, our wolves, our pack leaders, and you were one of those people, Amelia, in that,
Yeah.
you were looking for something that was innovative and something that had all the correct, medical device listings and worked and had the backing and the training. Because I know with you, and we spoke at length, like it was non-negotiable unless it was the top shelf.
Mhm.
This wasn't going to happen. And so, the feedback that we got from our teams is this device is incredible, but I've got this client that's going overseas and, I don't want her to get her behind in her skincare. Or, I've got my mom, she lives on a property and she's, outside of the city. I'd love her to have one and she's not sleeping very well.
Mhm.
We can delve into, aging and melatonin and,
Mhm.
chronological, everything. We can talk about this, but it depends how much time we've got left. But we kind of was like, right, well, listen, we've got the professional system. We need something now to follow on directly at home to support clients in between their professional treatments. Because let's make this very clear. You cannot replicate a professional LED treatment. That
Yeah.
will always be the bee's knees. That will always be it. However, we designed the personal mask to be a follow-on product using the correct and the same wavelengths as what we use in our professional clinic treatments to support clients at home in between the professional treatments.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was where the vision came from for the personal LED mask. And
Mm.
then we were like, and we don't want to go with these hard masks, which were in the market,
Yes, they
six,
were at the
30,
time.
that was it. It was just these hard, uncomfortable masks using plastics that people didn't know what
Mm.
they were made of. And
Mhm.
I used to always say, I remember when I was speaking with my team, I was like, I don't want a product like a water bottle in a car on a hot summer's day, because if you
Mhm.
leave a water bottle full of water in your car in a hot day, that then plastics are gonna, they're gonna leach into the water and you're not gonna want to drink it. So I was like, I don't want a hard mask. It must, it has to be a silicone mask that, is medical grade silicone, safe for the skin. And even with scarring now, there are silicone bandages, right? So we wanted something that would naturally mold to the skin and something that would support the skin, not cause irritation. So that's where, the silicone mask came in. And then we were like, and listen, although we're still in our infancy, we secondary colors, we believe in them. And remember, I'd been using the professional system for 12 months before launching it, in between getting the, the certifications and all the rest of it. And I saw amazing results, obviously, with the red for anti-aging, the blue for acne, the green for hyperpigmentation, but the yellow was incredible for redness.
Mm.
The green was amazing for pigmentation. The purple was brilliant for our clients, and our users in their 20s when they
Mhm.
were, they had the beautiful young skin and they were looking at preventative aging rather than going down injectables route straight away.
Mhm.
But they still got adult acne from things like
Yeah,
diets, like,
that com And for those that are listening, Leonie's got, I would say, different colors than just your standard LED, which is what I really
Yeah.
love. For example, she hasn't just got the blue, red, or the blue, red, and yellow. She's got the green, she's got the orange, she's got the purple, and the purple is in between, would you say, the blue and also the red. So you're
Yeah.
working on, maintaining those healthy fibroblasts and that collagen and that elastin, you're maintaining it.
Yeah.
It starts to slow down from 25 onwards, but then you've got sort of the combination of that blue for that antibacterial and that C acne. So you're getting, and that oil control. So you're getting that combination for that 25, 28-year-old that still has that oil flow,
Yeah.
but also maybe seeing first signs of some, fine lines coming through. Would you say that's correct? You've
Yeah,
got that
I would, I would,
combo
I
option.
would, I would say that for sure. So it's basically for, I say when you go for your first facials sometimes in your 20s and you're like, my skin is okay, but I get occasional breakouts. I'm more combination skin, like I'm more a bit oily, a bit
Mm,
dry, whatever. And it's kind of like, well, your skin's amazing. Let's support it. So I always find for clients, and I'm not an ageist, and I don't ever look at skin as a biological.
no,
Um, like I don't say, oh, you're 25 or you're 35 or you're
no,
55. This is what's going to happen for your skin. We
yeah,
have to look at the skin age. How
yeah,
well have you looked after your skin,
yeah.
in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on? Because biological skin age is not
Means
something I think
nothing,
is
especially
nothing. It's
nowadays. Yeah.
nothing. And the good thing about skin is it's never too late to start,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, using really good skincare, using LED, because it's just one of those things. It's never too late, because sometimes we might get in our mid 30s or mid 40s and mid 50s and go, oh, I should have done things earlier. It's like, no, it's never too
I
late to
agree.
start a really
Especially
great
with the
skin
level
routine.
of, toxins and free radicals we're exposed to every day. If we can
Mm,
start protecting now and working on repair now, you're only going to go forward because, I mean, aging is inevitable. But you're right. It's the choices that we make today that are supporting our skin for tomorrow, I always say. And
yeah,
so, coming back to your at-home mask, I
yeah.
want to announce to everyone that Leonie was actually the first to create the silicone-based masks. So I'm sure many of you that are listening have seen those at-home masks that are silicone. They sort of mold to the face. There's Velcro at the back, and it's what I really loved about Leonie's Aduro at-home mask when she first launched them. We got them straight in salon for exactly why you're saying, and we still obviously stock them in salon. They're to support our clients at home. They're to keep that cell renewal, that healing, that balancing of the skin at home. It's giving them a tool to use at home. It's definitely not to the same, I guess, power of professional LED, but it's an amazing opportunity for you to boost your sales performance at the comfort of your own home. And what I loved about it, Leonie, is you can, it's moldable, so it fits right on the face really comfortably. You could walk around the house if you wanted. You could vac the house if you wanted. Not that I do. I take it as a moment to relax, but it's portable. So it's a rechargeable handheld device that makes this mask not only fit really comfortably, you can still see out of the mask. I'm not sure if you meant to do that, Leonie, but I do.
Well, we have we
Because it
have two
fits
we have
flat.
two styles of eyewear now, which is really great, depending on, if you want to just completely dissolve into blackness, or if you need to be busy, and then you can do the eye inserts.
Yes, love it. Yeah, they come with the eye inserts. But she was the first to develop this. And like we were talking about, of course, there's been copycats along the way. That's okay. But I always come back to her products because she developed them and she put the time and care into them. And I can personally say they're amazing. They're an amazing addition to my home care skincare routine. And would you agree with me, Leonie? You can't overdose on light. I always say
Listen,
that.
no, I'm gonna so
But
there's
it's so
there's a point.
safe.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about our LEDs, we don't use UV light, and that's a really big thing. And I think, again, I don't think we need to re-educate the market on this now, because people know, like, we're educated enough here. But I would probably say with LED, we generally say the skin can absorb so much light,
Mhm.
because what happens is when we shine light onto the skin, the actual cell inside for example, one of our organelles inside the cell is called the mitochondria. Now, mitochondria is like the rechargeable battery inside of all of our cells. Now, as we age, like everything else, like from 21, collagen production starts to break down, nitric oxide production starts to break down. Like, this is just part of the aging process. And I would say when we shine light onto the skin, that mitochondria absorbs that light and it goes, hey, nucleus, you're the smart one. What should we do with this, all this energy I haven't had for 10 years? And the nucleus goes, all right, send the energy over to the cell membrane and let's repair that to make sure what's going in and out is good. And, let's fix this and get rid of that. And let's have toxin elimination and we'll support like all these other processes within the cell. And so what I say is when we use LED light therapy at the correct dose, which is what we use with our Aduro, is that our skin absorbs what it needs and then the rest is wasted, if that makes sense. So this is when we look at LED and we say, oh, do you want in a salon, do you want a really massive device or do you want a smaller compact one that's for the advanced facialist? I think it always comes down to how are you using it? If you had a mummy makeover, like a breast augmentation or lift or a tummy tuck, and you need a large area, then absolutely, you use, the larger panel ones, which is like what you have in a plastic surgery clinic for larger body, like full torso. Whereas in our industry, we are advanced aestheticians and we want to focus on, making sure that we target specific areas like the face, neck and décolletage. That tends to be our main focus area. But also, as advanced estheticians, we know that we have different problems on the eye area, on the face, on the mouth, on the nose. And so with the Aduro, the professional one, you can split the face into the different quadrants using the different lights to target
Which is also another different part, very different, amazing opportunity with her machines. Because, for example, if someone, let's just say, has a breakout on their chin and they've got some blackheads on their nose, we can switch on blue on the nose and the chin, and that isolates those two areas over the face to be treated with that, bacteria destroying light that's going to help the skin heal and calm inflammation and remove any of that stubborn C. acne bacteria. But then, for example, I could do red on the forehead and cheeks and work more on her aging concerns. So we can actually target different concerns in the professional treatment, which is unheard of actually. And it was so innovative of you actually, Leonie, to come up with that. I love that you have that aspect with the professional machines. It's so good.
It's amazing. It just changes the game in what you're doing. And I think just moving back to your question, just talking about can you overdo LED? You can't ever harm your skin with LED. So that's the first thing that I'll say. But there is a real thing called bioinhibition. So bioinhibition is where what I mentioned before, our skin meets its peak of what it's absorbed. And when it's met what it needs, it doesn't use the rest of it, if that makes sense.
So it's not a negative thing.
It's not a negative thing. That's it. Like you've basically
keep absorbing.
It's like charging your personal LED mask. There's a red light on it when it needs charging. Once it's charged, it's green. Unplug it. Otherwise, it's not doing anything. So you can't ever harm your skin with our LED. However, there is your skin has its own peak where it's optimized, and then, doing extra, is really like charging a battery that's already charged.
Yeah, there's no point. But it's a beautiful thing to know that it is non-invasive and it will I like to explain, Elliot, exactly like what you did, but it just recharges the cells and it also rebalances overactive or too stimulated cells. So it has the ability to not only treat that aging and that slowdown of cell renewal and turnover, which happens just with age, but it's also got the ability to rebalance anything that's a little bit overactive, whether it's, our Langerhans cells that's causing a lot of blushing and redness, or it's our melanocyte pigment cells that may be creating that pigment and those granules too quickly. We can actually start to calm other cells down and boost other cells up. And that's and all through the power of light, which is amazing.
And I was also just going to say, one thing I love about the LED also is that it's not only targeting your mature cells that are at the surface, it's actually targeting the baby skin cells before they actually present in the surface. So, as we know, our skin, we have a skin cycle, depending on whether it's summer or winter, but let's just say 26 to 28 days, and so almost like a snake, we don't shed our whole, skin, but throughout the month, we're constantly shedding. There's always, baby skin cells that mature through their life cycle and then off they go. And it's like, it's just this constant process. So LED is actually targeting not only the current issues we have at the surface of our skin, but it's actually strengthening the baby skin cells as they come through to make sure they're optimized, which is why we say with LED, whether you're using the personal LED at home or we're having professional in clinics treatments, we really need to do a full course of treatments and do it consistently, because it just keeps the skin optimized at all times. And there's no, LED isn't like, it's like anything with skin, there's no one hit wonder. Like if we're getting to the
It's
root cause of
consistency as well.
we're not kind of placebo in it and kind of saying, oh well, we'll just do this one thing which will get rid of your wrinkles in 1 week, for example. Like more like injectables, it's more of like a quick fix. With LED, again, based on our core methodology, and what we stand for is we get to the root cause and we target that so that it's actually holistically coming through, and functionally your skin is getting better, with continuous use of LED. And that's like your body. It's like going to the gym or lifting weights. Like, it's something that it has to become part of a lifestyle, that we're constantly nurturing our bodies and nurturing our skin, and making sure that, health is the top priority of everything, rather than masking something, and then dealing with it later. So that's the way that I look at LED.
Yeah, it's very similar. So, Leonie, you touched on it just briefly before, but I'd love you. So, obviously, we know the benefits of LED for the face.
Yeah.
When we're applying an LED, let's say to our facial area, are there any other deeper benefits that may be assisting with our health?
Ooh, I love this. So, in our masks, the personal and the professional, we do utilize near infrared light. Now, near infrared operates around the 850 nanometer mark, and that is brilliant for things like lymphatic drainage, toxin elimination. And there's also studies that show us that when we combine near infrared with different lights, for example, there's also extra benefits. So for example, when we use red light with near infrared, a lot of people use that over muscle injuries, or if they've had surgery. Like we have a lot of new moms that have had cesarean sections, they'll use the red and the near infrared to help speed up the recovery, and they'll also use it to try and help speed up the healing of the scar, to help or reduce the likelihood of keloid scarring. So again, LED can be used all over the body. A lot of the times if you cut yourself, for example, sometimes there can be infection in there as well. So I love to go with the blue and the near infrared, as a preventative thing, And then also with blue and near infrared, the studies show that when you mix blue and near infrared, it helps the body create more nitric oxide, which is, nitric oxide is the body's natural pain blocker, right? But listen, I've been so blessed over the years to speak to so many incredible people and scientists and home users in many, many different forms. But LED light therapy, I've been told by my user, been used on pleurisy, around the lungs, the blue and the near infrared, and, blue and the near infrared on, the lip if you have cold sores or HSV around the body. And again, this is not me saying it's going to cure anything, because LED isn't going to treat, prevent or cure any diseases. However, this is real life people using it, telling me what they've actually experienced. So great for that. And I also just think with LED, again, it's recreating what we naturally receive by being out in natural daylight without the harmful rays. And we know as biological creatures, we thrive off being outside in light. Like we only have to spend, a winter in a colder climate or a place that doesn't have much sun. I mean, we can go straight to like Norway and Sweden, or sometimes if we have a bad winter in Melbourne, we need light, because seasonal affective disorder is a real thing. And 10 years ago, that wasn't really clinically diagnosed, but now it is. Like, if we're not receiving good light, it affects our mood. So like even in the personal mask, we have that setting, which, the daily dose, which cycles through all the colors to help recreate and mimic natural light to hopefully assist with seasonal affective disorder.
It does. You put it on and it's literally just going through every single color of the lights that are offered, which we've spoken about. They're more extensive in the LED range. But yeah, there's so many amazing, it's thought and it's time that you've put into the development of the products. And you can hear in everything that you're saying, but everyone that's learning about Aduro, you can see how different it is from other ones on the market. And I'd love to ask you, for anyone that's listening to this right now that might be a little bit skeptical, maybe, that has heard of LED and is like, oh, how can that happen? What would you say to them, Leonie?
Listen, I actually love this question when people are still a little bit skeptical, and it's fair for people to still be skeptical, you know, skeptical about things that are new to them, and that's really quite normal. But what I always say is, do your own research. If you still feel skeptical about LED light therapy, do your own research. And there's amazing tools out there that we didn't have 15 years ago, like Chat GPT. You can put in and say, in a hopefully a secure place on your Chat GPT, this is what I'm concerned about. I've looked at LED light therapy. Do you think, specific lights, this light would be good for me, and see what it says. And then you can delve more into, like, there's clinical studies, on PubMed. Like, there's all these amazing resources now that we can go to. But for me, I always say, if you have a medical condition or an actual skin concern, speak to your dermatologist, speak to your GP, speak to your skin therapist, have a consultation, because, even like with you, Amelia, like, you've really stepped up your online consultations. Even if you're in a remote area or an area where, you don't have access to, a therapist who's able to help you at that deeper level, you've got online consults, so you can really chat with anybody anytime, anywhere, and get the tools that you need. And then again, you've got amazing products, but you give the client the tools and the knowledge so that they can make a decision for themselves, and then you can offer them a solution. And that's the way that I look at it.
They need in lifetime, which I think is really powerful.
100%, 100%. But with LED, you can't harm your skin. If someone was skeptical about that, it's not a sunbed. We don't use UV light. And I would probably also say, speak to people who've used LED. Give us a call or send us an email. Like, and we are happy to have a phone call with you to, for your specific questions. Because when there's skepticism, there's always a question behind it. And
there's always like a fear there, and education will collapse that. So
100%.
sometimes it's reaching out, but also being aware of the sources that you're reading, and just be aware of who you're reaching out to. Like you said, go to someone that you trust, go to, online consults, reach out to Aduro directly. But also I think it's really important to make sure that those that are listening, you do look at TGA approved products. That's also really, really important, because there's a lot of cheap and nasty ones out there. So do your research on what you're choosing to put on your skin as well. Last but not least, Leonie, I actually just wanted to ask you, well, number one, thank you for joining us today. It's been delightful talking to you and giving our Fresh Face Skin community even more insight into Aduro Australia, the brand, but also LED in general. What is next for Aduro Australia, for your baby, for your brand, and what are you most excited about?
I love this. Listen, for me, we've just launched our V2 personal LED mask again.
I know, and we've just ordered some. So for the Fresh Face Skin community, they'll be available online and in salon probably now.
Yes, amazing. And I always say, when you create the first, you define what comes next. And so I truly believe in that. But for me, I'm so excited for the future of LED light therapy and the way that it's moving. And, in the next 5 or so years, I can see LED being a staple in every household, whether it's in panels in the roof in the office for overall wellness, or whether we're moving into LED as a potential sun protection. There's all these amazing clinical studies going on at the moment, one specifically where they're actually researching if red light therapy in the morning is actually a protective defense against sun damage later on in the day. So this is one thing that we do. We really focus on being at the forefront of LED and its progression and clinical studies. So I can guarantee you, if anything amazing is coming, it will be coming from us first. And you will be the first to know. So watch this space.
Wow, I love that study though. I love that study.
It's amazing.
It brings us back to being aware of what we're putting on our skin in way of sunblock, sunscreen. And if there's a way that you can protect your cells and not necessarily add external potentially harmful ingredients. That's another story for another day, but it just being aware of your sunscreen choices. How amazing is that?
I know.
And are you happy to move with the flow? Like, let's say if LED, you can do, I don't know, roof LED in areas in
100%.
your gym and things like that. Is that something you'll look
On,
into for more like
on
overall wellness in the future?
100%, because
Yeah.
this is it for me, like what we started. We've gone full circle, Amelia. It
Yeah,
comes
I
back
know.
to functional medicine again, and it comes
Yes.
back to root cause. And for me, I am an advocate for light therapy. Like I use it myself. It's one of those things. I believe in it. I've seen it. I've been to the biohacking conferences and I've done
Mhm.
all of this stuff. So, it's funny, we focus so much on beauty, but the wealth and knowledge of our team is incredible. Like we've got teams of scientists and people who've worked in light therapy. We even work with an amazing scientist which studies the geometry of light. So,
Mm.
there's all these
Mm.
amazing things, and I'm so blessed to know and to be, I suppose, in contact with so many incredible, smart
Mm.
people on every single facet of LED light therapy and how it can interact. So I'm excited for what I can bring, but I do believe in, what's meant to be never passes us by. And I do
Mhm.
believe there's even bigger things to come for our brand. So watch this space.
Oh, it's beautiful. And I'm watching and I can't wait to see what happens. Gosh, for someone that is, they base their world and their business around light, isn't it just so reflective, Leonie's light? Who can feel it? Like it's the most
Thank you.
appropriate purpose for you here because you reflect it.
Oh,
So thank you so much for your time today, for passing on all of your knowledge, your education, and for the care, actually, the true care that you put into the products that you provide so many Australians and now Americans with. It really means a lot to have people that are so like-minded in this business, really helping people on their journeys. So
oh,
thank you.
amazing. Thank you so much, Amelia. You're an absolute blessing. And I'm so privileged to have you on my team and have you as an incredibly wonderful friend too. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh, so beautiful.
Keep kicking those amazing fresh face goals. We love you and we love your team
Oh,
and your products. So, and we're very
thank you,
proud.
Leonie.
Thank you for your contribution to our team every day.
Oh, well, you got me for life. So.
Yay! Yay!
Thank you for joining us, beautiful and fresh faces. I look forward to seeing you in another few weeks for another Fresh Face Skin podcast. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us and for your support. We look forward to our next episode. And thank you, Leonie.
Thank you, Amelia. Bye.
Bye.